Hey guys, welcome back to Legit Street Cars and welcome to the first episode of Legit Flip, a series where I buy interesting and mostly broken cars that still have some meat on the bones. These are cars that, if repaired and cleaned up properly, could turn a big profit. Now, I buy many cars for the channel. I try not to get ripped off when I buy them, and sometimes I make a little bit of money when I eventually sell them. But I don't seek these cars out with the sole intention of flipping them. I'm usually just looking for cool, interesting cars that I like and that I think you guys would like. And I certainly don't repair and modify these cars with profit in mind. So nothing at all on the channel is gonna change. I'm still gonna buy and fix up the same cool cars that I would buy anyway, but now every once in a while, I'm gonna come out with a legit flip series, and I'm kicking it off with this. My 2001 BMW 540i with a manual transmission that I paid only $900 for. A big difference between these cars and this series versus my other channel cars is I'm gonna be showing you guys all of the financials. I'm gonna break down exactly what I spend on the cars, and I'm gonna show you what I make on the cars or what I lose on the cars. So I've flipped many cars in my day, and most of the time you make money, but sometimes you get totally burned and you lose money, and I'm not gonna hide that. So flip cars like this are gonna follow 3 general rules that I made up for myself a long time ago when I used to flip cars all the time. First one is, don't get ripped off when buying the car. Second, don't do anything to the car that doesn't increase its value more than the repair. And third, the car has to be safe when you sell it. All right, so there's a lot more to flipping cars than just that, and I promise I'll explain everything as the series progresses. But just one last thing to add to this Legit Flip series introduction before we start increasing the value of this E39, and that is that I'm adding in a little challenge. So I'm going to roll the profits from each car into the next flip car, and I want to see how much money we'll have 1 year from now. So it's December 2021 right now. How much will we have made in December of 2022? Hopefully it's a lot. I'll leave the reveal video link down below if you guys want to see everything that's wrong with this car and what we fixed in that video. But I'll give you some cliff notes because it's important. The 2 items that we fixed in the reveal video increase the value probably as much as we're going to increase the value of this car today. So it had a check engine light and a misfire, so I replaced a coil and fixed that for $50. And then the shifter in the car was really stiff. This would be totally apparent to someone buying this car, and we were able to lift it up and spray down the linkage for the transmission, and it totally fixed it. And I'm going to consider that one free because it was just a few squirts of some penetrating oil. So right then and there, we bought a car that misfired and had some transmission issues, and we fixed both of them for $50. That is huge. So now I have a lot of the parts on order that we're going to be replacing on this car to fix up a lot of the mechanical issues, but today I want to focus on something that's probably the most important when you're flipping a car, and that is cleaning it. So this thing was abandoned in a parking garage for a long time. It's pretty nasty, it's pretty grimy all the way around, and it's not doing this car any favors in the value department. And if you guys saw that video, you know we have some oil leaks going on. The valve covers are leaking, but on these cars, it's kind of hard to tell if that's all that's leaking. So we're gonna start off by cleaning this engine. All right, so I have the main engine cover and these cabin filter housings sitting on the ground, so we're just gonna go ahead and pre-soak them. The pressure washer is going to do a lot of this work, so you don't have to waste a ton of product here. A lot of people are afraid of pressure washing engines, and you should be careful, especially with an older European car. This is a flip car. We don't want to cause any damage. So I just covered up the inlets to the air ducting to the cabin. That is a large cover with a bunch of control modules, so I put 2 bags on that. The wiper motor is a little exposed as well. And then you just want to be careful if you're going to use a pressure washer, which I'm going to use, and just don't blast the water into harnesses. Just do light mists, and I'll show you after, but it's most important to dry everything off as soon as you're done cleaning. So anyway, there's lots of products on the market to clean your engine. A general degreaser works pretty well, but I like this gunk stuff. I've been using it for a long time. So we're gonna go ahead and spray this on a dry and cold engine. And I'm gonna also spend a little bit of time on cleaning everything on the bottom as well. because the valve covers have been leaking for so long. And doing this is gonna help me figure out if I fixed the oil leaks in the next video. I have a couple of parts I'm gonna be replacing, so that hopefully this car is leaking a lot less oil than it is now. While the degreaser's doing its thing, let's talk cabin filters. So this one I vacuumed out, it doesn't smell, and it looks practically new. This one I just vacuumed the larger leaves, and it's still pretty nasty, but I could freshen this one up, and these don't really need to be replaced. They don't smell or anything like that, but they're only $22, and they're very easy to replace, and for some people, this could add value to the car if you put it in the listing. So we're gonna list everything we've done to the car, and we could throw cabin filters in there, and for $22, I think it might be worth it. But you wouldn't always replace things like a cabin filter on a flip car. So let's say the filters were very expensive, or they were buried somewhere in the dash, or you were paying a mechanic to do all the work on your flip car, which some people do. Some people don't touch these cars at all. Are you gonna spend a couple of $100s on cabin filters? No, you're probably not gonna get that back. It's probably not gonna add much value to your flip car. You're here to make money. You're not here to rebuild someone else's car. And in a lot of cases, you can vacuum them out like I just did and roll with it, and you're gonna be just fine. So make sure to only replace things that add value to your flip car. And speaking of adding value, this is Netflix, and if you lived in the US and wanted to watch Parks and Recreation, you couldn't. It's not available. But because I have NordVPN, I can virtually transport my computer to the UK, hit the refresh button, and here it is. Many streaming services block content depending on your location, but since NordVPN has 5,200 secure servers in 60 different countries, you're covered no matter where you are. NordVPN is also the fastest VPN out there, and you can get it on your computer, phone, TV, and more. So don't let your location limit your content and start exploring today. And the best part is, if you guys click on my link in the video description box or go to nordvpn.com/legit, you're gonna get a massive discount off their 2-year plan, making this only a few dollars a month, adding a ton of value to the streaming services you already pay for, and they're gonna throw in a 1-month additional for free. So I just wanna say a big thanks to NordVPN for continuing to support automotive content creators like myself. Now, let's go pressure wash this engine. All right, here we go, guys. Say hello to the haters in the comments section, because anytime we pressure wash an engine, there's always guys down there that say we're gonna ruin something, and we've done this like 5 times on the channel. We've never messed anything up, but anyway, be mindful. Don't just blast things right into electrical connectors. Cover some stuff up. You're gonna be okay. Here we go. All right, so areas like this, you can go nuts. And look at that, you can see the VIN clearly. This looks beautiful. Areas like this dirt and grime on the valve cover, you can also go a little crazy with. Areas like this intake that have a lot of connectors and harnesses and whatnot, we're just gonna take a step back a little bit and just do one of these. And in a couple of minutes, we're gonna blow this all out with air. As you can probably tell, this is a ton of fun also. See ya. I mean, that's adding value right there, guys. This looks beautiful. Detailing is one of the best things you can do to make your car worth a lot more money. Don't forget the inside of the hood while you're here. I gotta say, the color on this car is pretty cool. Not exactly sure what these numbers are. BMW guys, comment down below. Okay, so I've cleaned up underneath as well. Everything's looking really good. This only took me about maybe 5 minutes total, and now we're gonna get right into drying. Oh, this is looking great. We're gonna get rid of the bags now and just start drying things by hand. And I'm gonna fire up the engine and let the engine do some drying as well. I love this green. This looks so good. And it fired right up, of course. Oh, this is so much fun, guys. If you haven't cleaned an engine before, I recommend it. I really recommend it, especially on an abandoned car like this. This thing sat in this parking garage for like 3 or 4 years. It was just nasty. It's gonna be the nicest looking part of the car. All right, and while the engine is running and drying itself, let's go ahead and clean these up. You can definitely use little brushes here as well, but if you have a good pressure washer, especially on these plastic panels like this, it cleans up really nice. But I will mint these out because this is what you're gonna see as soon as you pop the hood. Okay, I wanted to show you before and after. I almost lost it. There you go. Look at how nice that is. All right, let's try that again. I'll brace for impact. Woo! All right. All right, and here's what it looks like before we shine anything up or add the beauty covers. So I don't like to do anything to these black plastic intake manifolds, especially if they're under a cover. A lot of these products claim that they won't attract dirt, but they usually do. So I leave these dry. That way you're not dealing with a mess, or the next owner's not dealing with a mess in these little crevices later. So this is how we're gonna leave the intake manifold nice and dry and clean. And then we're gonna install all of this stuff, which I must say is looking pretty good already. Now, say what you will about beauty covers, but the general public, they don't want to see this mess of hoses and wires. It looks complicated. It looks like it can break all the time, which it definitely can. They much rather see this, just a pretty BMW logo. It matches the valve covers as well. And I gotta say, in the world of beauty covers, this is one of my favorite. I think it looks really good. So anyway, let me get the other plastics on. We'll shine them up and then do a before and after. With all of the plastic panels back on, we're just gonna use a little bit of this stuff to shine things up. So you just spray this on a rag or a microfiber, and a little goes a long way. So we're just shining this up really nice. And if this was a car that I was gonna be keeping for myself, I would just ceramic coat all of this black plastic trim. It lasts a lot longer than this, but you know, we're on a budget here, all right? This is like $4, and it works pretty well. Oh, this looks good. Instant gratification. This is the best part, guys. The best part by far. So I cleaned up the cabin filters as well. I may replace them, they're pretty cheap, but for now, they are very clean, a lot better than before. Especially anything that's black plastic. After it's clean, you put a little bit of this on, it looks really nice. We're gonna have to replace the bushings here, but we'll make it look pretty nonetheless. And you can even hit up some of these harnesses as well. This is one of the better looking engine bays, I gotta say, especially with a cool color like green. Kind of contrast everything. All right, so this is looking really good, but after I'm done, I just like to use a dry microfiber, especially on some of this black plastic, so it doesn't look too shiny. I want a nice sheen, but nothing too crazy. I don't like that slimy look that some of the used car dealers do when they clean an engine, so just gonna give this a gentle buff. And there you have it, guys, our cleaned up E39 BMW engine and engine compartment. And all of the materials used for this project were about $20. It took me an hour and a half. And I think it is well worth it on pretty much any car, but especially an enthusiast car like this where the engine is such an important part of the vehicle. So I'll give you guys a proper before and after once we're finished and we're back outside with some good lighting. But I'm sure you remember this area was pretty nasty, and it was a shame because the green paint looks so good, and we were able to get into all of the nooks and crannies, and reconditioning the black plastic shaves years off the look of really any trim. And I think this engine cover and the covers on the valve covers look so good. And we went in here and cleaned it all up. Right in here was all grimy and nasty from over 20 years of dirt and oil kind of accumulating. We've cleaned up the hoses as well. This looks so much better. And I also went ahead and cleaned up some of the accessories as well, so you can see the actual engine, the cylinder head right there is clean also. And I think for about $20, it's gonna pay off big time when we go to flip this car. All right, you guys know what we have to do next. We have to polish these nasty headlights, and I think 2001 was the first year for the angel eye headlights on the E39. So these can look really good, and this just looks old and nasty, and we're gonna do this for practically nothing. Oh, and you guys are definitely gonna learn a lot from my mistakes during these series, because I should have done the headlights before I clean the engine. Now I have to cover up the engine and worry about buffing compound getting all over the place. But anyway, I really just wanted to clean the engine. I was getting ahead of myself. All right, so first up, we're just cleaning this headlight a little bit. And I already blasted this with the pressure washer, but you want to start with a pretty clean surface. Also, on some cars, I like to add a little bit of painter's tape, just in case you get a little too aggressive. You don't want to burn through the paint on the car. And this one already has some areas of the paint that are kind of coming apart. I don't want to exaggerate any of that. All right, we'll actually do this with the hood open so we can get the top of the light a little bit better. I'll just be more gentle so I don't get buffing compound everywhere. There's a lot of kits on the market that you can use to buff out headlights. They all work pretty well, actually. But I have a bunch of materials on hand, so we're gonna do this on a budget, and I think these warrant a little bit of wet sanding, but you don't necessarily need to do this in every case, because sometimes this yellow haze can be removed just with buffing. So we're doing some wet sanding, so we just wanna make sure that everything is properly lubricated, and let's do this. And then you just want to wipe this off a few times. I'm going to do 3 passes with the 1500 grit, and then we'll move on to some 2000 and we're done. Spray it with water again. Spray your sanding disc. All right, let's switch this over. We're gonna install our 2000 grit now. And I usually start with something like, you know, an 800, then a 1500, then a 2000, but that's just all I got at the shop right now. All right, that's it for the 2000. Let's get the buffer. Oh, and it's totally normal to see this haze after wet sanding, but you can see it's getting more clear, and we're getting rid of that yellow film that you can see on this one. Next up, we're just using a foam buffing pad at the end of a drill, and I'll leave you guys a link to where you can get this adapter and a bunch of these foam pads, and they're very inexpensive and they work great for headlights like this. So I'm using a coarse compound to start off with. Let's kind of get this all over the headlight. And here we go. A lot of the kits that you buy at the store basically give you this and a little bit of buffing compound for like, you know, 30, 35 bucks. You can definitely do it for a lot less. This little guy doesn't make too bad of a mess, so just keep it steady, go over your passes. And like a lot of detailing, this is very, very satisfying. Wait till you see the results. Okay, so this is after 1 pass with the foam pad. Starting to look good. All right, that's pass number 2. Wow, look at that. Oh man, this looks so good. I'm gonna go ahead and move over to the finer compound and finish this one up. All right, that should be it. Yep, that's definitely it. Wow, these look great. So would you rather buy a car with headlights that look like that, or crystal clear headlights that look like this? So I'm gonna throw a little bit of ceramic coating over the lenses just to protect them for the next person. But this took about 20 minutes, and in material I have, I don't know, maybe just a few dollars. It's stuff I had laying around. But figure worst case, if you buy one of those kits, you're gonna have about $35 into restoring your headlights, and I definitely think it's worth it. All right, both headlights are polished out and looking good. I've also removed the front plate so we can clean up grime like that, and I didn't destroy my clean engine as bad as I thought, but I'll definitely give it one final wipe before we're all done with today's cleaning. Next, we have to clean up these wheels. So I think these are great looking factory BMW wheels, and they have really nice BF Goodrich tires also. But yeah, they haven't been cleaned in probably years, and this isn't doing us any favors as far as resale value goes. First off, we're just gonna blast these with the pressure washer. All right, so that looks a little better. And then I'm just gonna use some of this stuff that I found at the local auto parts store. And we're gonna let this sit for a few minutes, and I'll go ahead and hit all the other wheels right now too. Okay, so now we're just gonna agitate. So I have this little wheel cleaning brush. I have this one here and this one here, and it's very important that you just keep your wheel cleaning brushes separate from pretty much anything else, because these things are gonna get nasty with brake dust, and you don't want these anywhere near paint. So this thing works pretty well at getting in between spokes like this, and it's soft enough to where it doesn't scratch the finish. Yeah, these wheels are pretty dirty. Some of this might actually be baked on, but we're gonna get it as good as we can. I think I've had this brush for 20 years cleaning wheels. I believe this was originally a brush that you use in the shower, but yeah, works pretty well on cars too. All right, I think that's pretty good for our first pass. Let's give it a blast. Not bad, not bad at all. So I'm gonna keep on going a little bit more with this, but wow, what a difference. What a difference this would make in pictures also. And if you wanted to go nuts, you could have the wheels refinished, but again, we're trying to flip this car. It's probably not worth $500 or $600 to get these redone, especially because they're not in the worst condition. All right, guys, I'm doing my second pass with this brush on the drill. These things come in a lot of different sizes as well. These are fantastic. This is making the wheel cleanup process go much, much quicker. Every so often, I'm just spraying the wheel cleaner right there on the brush, and it gets in everywhere. It's really nice. And you can even do the tires as well. Tires get pretty grimy also. I'll leave you guys a link to a kit that I bought off of Amazon for these. They're sweet. So not perfect, but a lot better. All right, we have a clean engine. We have restored headlights. We have cleaned up wheels. What's left to do? Clean nasty stuff like this. And nasty stuff like this. Nice. Not nice. Now it's nice. Now, clearly you have to be careful. Don't spray inside of your disgusting trunk. The interior cleaning will be for another video. But this makes cleaning up channels like this very, very quickly if you can just blast it. Just like cleaning your engine, be smart about it. All right, this ought to be good. Yes. Yes, one of my favorite things to do. And so although this looks much cleaner, unfortunately, this was a weak point in the E39. The water would collect just like this and it would rot out the quarter panel right here. So this is still pretty solid, but to repair this properly would require a lot of time and money at a body shop. So we might be leaving this. All right, so I'm not gonna show you an entire car wash. You guys have seen that a million times, but I have to focus in on the most satisfying parts of washing this car, like areas like this. All right, foam cannons are usually pretty satisfying, so I had to show you that. But let me finish washing this car and we'll bring it back outside for a few before and afters, and then we'll tally up some costs. All right, hang on. Before I dry the car, I have to show you this paint color. Look what was hiding under all of that dirt. This is absolutely gorgeous. And I'm usually not into greens, but on this car with the tan interior, it just looks absolutely perfect. And so we started with this, and now we have this. And I gotta say, I am liking this car more and more every day. So our wheels went from this to this, and we went from this to this, and I think the headlight restoration was my favorite part of the project. I think these look so much better. I think they make the car instantly worth more money, but what do you guys think? Out of everything I've done today, what do you think is going to add the most value to this car? And for the engine, we went from this gigantic mess, dirt and leaves and grime everywhere, oil caked up all over the place, and now we have this, a very clean, a very presentable engine and engine compartment. And I take it back, this is my favorite part. This looks too good. This was a lot of fun. An hour and a half is all it took. And I'll say this again, this green in the engine compartment looks fantastic. So when we take pictures to list this car, this is definitely gonna be something that people zoom in on, and I think it looks amazing. And in the next episode, we're gonna fix up some of these oil leaks so it stays looking like this, and I'll show you what the bottom ended up looking like. It's pretty nice. Okay, that's enough. Got to shut the hood at some point, but overall I think this car is looking so good. Obviously it's nowhere near perfect. To make a car like this perfect would cost a lot more than it's worth, and that would defeat the entire purpose of the flip. So we do have some scratches like this, so I'm not done with the detail portion of this series. I'm gonna try and get out as many scratches as possible and clean up this paint. We have some pretty decent clear coat, so this is a good candidate for some more detail work. And I will also have to figure something out for this wheel. The paint has pretty much all peeled off, and I believe I have a front wheel in the rear on the other side. But overall, I am loving this 540i. This is probably the hardest part of flipping cars, is when you fall in love. And a V8 BMW with a manual transmission for 900 bucks is definitely a car you can fall in love with. Oh, and I'm gonna have to do something with this interior. So if you saw the reveal video, you know that someone dyed portions of this interior in dark brown, like the bottom of the door panel and the dash and the seat trim. And I love the color combination. This looks amazing. It's actually gonna look too good in pictures, but the seats are not in the best of condition. They dyed these as well. I'm gonna see if I can clean these up. I'm not exactly sure what's gonna happen, but I would say right now the interior could bring down how much this car ultimately brings in if I can't clean it up. But either way, this would be something that if it looks good in a picture, I would probably mention in the description so someone's not surprised that these seats have been dyed. It probably wasn't done professionally, but there are some things like that you're gonna wanna list so you don't develop a bad reputation. So I think I've put about 100 miles on this car since fixing the coil. No check engine light still, and our little traction light that was right there disappeared also after I did the coil. So the only light we have left is the airbag light. All right, guys, so let's talk financials. $900 car. In the last video, I fixed 2 issues for $50, and then I put about $50 worth of fuel in the tank. So we're at an even $1,000, and for everything that I did today, I spent about $40. So $1,040 for a clean title, running and driving 119,000 mile E39 540i with a manual trans. I think we did really good on the purchase of this car, and watch the reveal video if you want the full story. It's kind of interesting, but I just ran into a good deal. It happens. So with that, what do you guys think of the series? What'd you think of the video? Do you have any suggestions? Drop them down below. I had a blast with this one, and in the next video, we are gonna spend a little bit more money on this car. We gotta get into some mechanicals that I think are gonna increase the value even more, and then some more detail work, and we're gonna flip this one pretty soon, actually, and then you guys will know how much I made on this legit flip. So if you haven't already, follow me on social media. I'm at Legit Street Cars basically everywhere. Give this video a thumbs up, share the video with your friends, subscribe if you haven't already, and most importantly, have an awesome day. I'll catch all of you in the next video.